Oh man, not only are we at a pivotal point in the Secret Empire saga, but this comic, the one we're going to review today, has a special place in my comic-loving heart. Welcome to Kevin's commentary on comics. As I remember the early days of my youth when I first discovered the four-color paradise that is the superhero comic book, there are 3 or 4 key issues that I consider to be my first superhero comics. Now, I'm old, so it's hard for me to pinpoint my very first one, but I do have vivid memories of a few, namely Giant Size Defenders number 2 from October 1974, Fantastic Four number 147 from June 1974, The Flash number 248 from April 1977, possibly the first DC comic I ever read, and this one, Captain America and the Falcon number 174 from June 1974. Now, I'm pretty sure this was a comic my older brother had, and I must have read it probably about 100 times. I still have it, although it is very beat up and very well read. Probably would be rated about a very, very poor if it was actually appraised. Now, at the time, I didn't know who Captain America was, or who the Falcon was, or any of the other Marvel characters featured in this issue, but I do remember this making me want to read more about these dudes and dudettes. So this might be a little deeper of a review because I want to share my memories of this one as best I can as we go through it. So let's do that now, okay? Okay. By the way, this one is entitled It's Always Darkest. Written by Steve Englehart and drawn by Sal Buscema with cover art by Gil Kane. And let's pause right there. One of the first comics I read, done by 3 powerhouses in the industry. No wonder I was hooked. So this one opens with Captain America and the Falcon in disguises descending into the underground headquarters of the Secret Empire. Now this, again, being one of my first ventures into superheroes, I thought this was how Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson actually looked like. Not having read any of the previous issues, I didn't know they were wearing disguises, so this is just how I thought they looked. Anyway, that was important information to know, right? Right, okay. So we get the obligatory recap of what has gone on in the issues previous, and that was great for me, the new reader, when I was 10 years old. And although I will admit I thought Moonstone was some sort of hero or good guy, and didn't get that he was a villain at the time. I also didn't understand what Banshee's powers were here based on this one panel. I thought he had some sort of power blast that came out of his mouth. I guess I wasn't that far off, but still. Then I see these 2 costume folks behind the bald guy in a wheelchair. The X-Men, huh? Well, that's a neat name, I sure thought back in the day, or maybe I said it was a groovy name or a far-out name. I don't know. It was the mid-70s, and I was about 9 or 10 at the time. So Steve and Sam meet with number 1, the ruler of the Secret Empire, and you can tell he's leader because he has a number 1 right there on his cowl. They place the 2 in a room which is locked, and Sam yells out that he and Cap need to get into their costumes. So again, not knowing who these guys were, I thought Sam always had a fake mustache on and was impressed with the dedication he had to keeping his secret identity. They crawl into a vent, which they got to when Cap ripped off the cover to the vent. And this is probably thanks to Cap's super strength. Remember he had that? Yeah, no, I didn't either. I certainly didn't know it back when I read this as a 10-year-old, or maybe I just thought he had super strength, but in my recent reread, I still forgot that he had the strength and just figured he could do that with his peak human strength. So once again, going back to the whole super strength thing, really wasn't a big player in these issues. The 2 climb into the vent based on the urgings of the Falcon, and it's a good thing too because a bunch of laser beams suddenly fire throughout the room they were just in, or surely they would have been killed. So how did the Falcon know what was going to happen? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. The Secret Empire boys see that they failed to kill the 2, but why were they trying to kill 2 guys that just helped them get the electro gyro they needed so badly? Well, it's because one of them is Mr. Black, who we saw in the previous issue when Cap left a note for when he stole the gyroscope, basically just saying that, hey, I'm going to get this back. Well, obviously, Cap did not know that Mr. Black was a member of the Secret Empire, and, it seemed like maybe just about everyone was a member of the Secret Empire. So we check in on the X-Men who are outside the Empire's fortress. Now, I'm going to go back to when I first read this and not knowing who the X-Men were, but I was able to figure out that Jean, or Marvel Girl, can read thoughts, and that Professor X has a quote-unquote mutant brain that can probe the Empire's lair, and that he was the one who alerted the Falcon to the impending danger. Although, why just the Falcon? Why not send Cap a mental message? Also, what's this guy with the funky sunglasses do? What are his powers? By the way, that was the 10-year-old me asking, not the current 51-year-old me asking. Obviously, I know that's Cyclops. Meanwhile, back in the Empire's lair, Cap and the Falcon are confronted by some sort of robot. They fight and manage to take him down pretty easily. And once they get past him, the Falcon gets another mental hunch about opening a door, and sure enough, here come the X-Men. So they go searching and come across a large portal door, and they open it and they see this. A bunch of characters the 10-year-old me had never seen before. Mesmero, Angel, Iceman, Beast, Mastermind, Eunice, Lorna Dane, Havoc, and the Blob. Who are these guys? Apparently they were mutants, because they said that in the panel there. But why were they all hooked up to this device? Were they all X-Men? Only one of them had a costume like the others. Angel here has a costume that looks like what Marvel Girl and Cyclops were wearing. The 10-year-old me was very, very intrigued. So the heroes free them, and we find out that the Angel was overpowered by Magneto and then woke up in his old costume. Now remember, I said last issue that I thought they explained why the X-Men weren't in their newer costumes, and now we know why. Well, we sort of know why. I guess they just decided to start wearing them again. But it really doesn't explain why the Angel, who was knocked out, was in his new costume and then put into his old costume. There really wasn't an explanation for that. We see here that he gets zapped, and then we see the Beast get zapped too. Little did I know, when 10-year-old me saw these panels of the Beast, that he would later become one of my all-time favorite heroes, but that was mainly thanks to his Avengers membership, not his X-Men one. So number one and his secret Empire squad confronts the heroes, and all heck breaks loose. And now I see that the dude with the funky glasses shoots lasers out of his eyes. Man, the first guy had lasers coming out of his mouth. Now this dude with his eyes. Again, this is the 10-year-old me talking. It looks like the heroes are going to win this battle when all of a sudden they are all taken down in a single blast of the atomic annihilator. It's awfully convenient they were all grouped together like that. Number one declares they're all dead. Oh, come on. Didn't we just read this an issue or two ago? These bad guys will never learn. Although the 10-year-old me may have thought that this was true. So I'm Kevin, and that was my commentary. Yes, this comic is very special to me as it introduced a whole world of superheroes. And although I had questions like, who exactly were all those guys attached to that round machine? What were their powers? And Eunice? That's a superhero name? Again, I didn't know he was one of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Also, that fat guy who had his own table, the Blob, he looked like he was well named. Man, that was a lot of fun to reread again, and it really brought back a lot of memories. It was years before I got to read the next issue of this story, and quite honestly, this may have been the first time I read the stories leading up to this issue, an issue that really has ultimately led me down to where we are now, doing YouTube videos talking about comics. I really need to do a review of the other issues that I mentioned earlier, the ones that are pivotal to my comic book reading, namely Giant Size Defenders #2 and the FF. Those were also really special to me because they were my first introductions to another whole line of characters. I also mentioned that Flash issue, and I've searched, but I haven't found that particular issue online or available digitally, although I do know I have it in my collection somewhere. Will I actually pull that issue out to reread and share with you guys? Well, you'll just have to wait and see. Which leads me to the standard ending to these things. Subscribe to my channel. Like and share this video too. Okay, enough said there. So until next time, when we get to the final chapter of the Secret Empire Saga, you go out, have a great day, and I will see ya.